Am I the A-hole stories? First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for taking away my sibling free food privileges from the restaurants I own because they kept on telling me I deserved not to get any money from my father in his will? So, my father died a few weeks back, wasn't a shock as he had cancer and had already lived past the time he was given. But before his death, my father told me that he was taking me out of his will because I was already so successful in life. I'm 32 and own 3 restaurants that are still doing good despite current events. Though he did give me my great-grandfather's World War II M1911, which I was very happy to get. Now, I was upset about being taken out of the will. I mean, I didn't feel like doing things right and being successful was a good reason to be kicked out, but I didn't argue it or even really bring it up while my father was living. Arguing about money would have just been a way to waste time in my father's final days. Anyways, fast forward, my father passed and my brother and sister, let's call them James and Holly, received $750,000 from my father in his will. Now they aren't poor, but it is a big jump between what they make and what I make. I brought up what my father said, and I told him I was angry and upset with his reasoning. I felt I was punished for doing right, but James told me, Dad was right to cut you out, you make so much you didn't need any more. We do, and Holly followed it up by, why are you complaining, you are already well off, this would have just been icing on the cake. Then as I was trying to think of something to say that was calm, James asked, you aren't going to try to contest this, right? I just waved them off. I didn't want to talk with them, but they kept on telling me that I didn't need it and I better not contest. I told them to stop bringing it up and let me be upset for a little while, then I will get over it. But they didn't. They had in their minds I was going to contest and try to get $250K from each of them. I had and have no plans to contest. It was my father's wish not to give me the money, and despite my objection to his reasoning, I will respect that. But after another confrontation, about how I didn't need and didn't deserve any money, I told James and Holly that my restaurants, that they frequent and enjoy, will no longer be free to eat at anymore, as I was tired of them confronting me. Now James and Holly are mad at me, saying I am doing this because I am mad about them getting the inheritance, which is in part true. I'm upset by that, but had they just let me be mad, I would have gotten over it. But, am I the a-hole for taking away their free family discount at my restaurants? Edit. Wow, I did not expect this to blow up so much, but thank you all for the awards and the judgment. Few things I want to say. The M1911 is a pistol, not a rifle. My mother's grandfather was a soldier in the European theater of World War II. Secondly, the restaurants I own are 2 sit-down causal places, burgers, fries, steaks, fish, stuff like that, which is named after me, just North O'Peas and South O'Peas, and the third place is a Buffalo Wild Wings like place, wings, burgers, fries, beer, and lot of TVs with sports. I named it after my mother. She really liked sports, so I felt this was a way to honor her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. James and Holly sound like toxic freeloaders who don't know how to quit while they're ahead. Not the a-hole. I guarantee they put the idea in their father's head to cut him out too. OP has every right to be upset, and he should have been upset at his father for his final act being a betrayal to his greedy siblings. What a mess. I'd go no contact with both of them. Not the a-hole. If you've accepted that you aren't contesting that will, then don't. But you at the very least are entitled to make them pay for their meals from now on if they can't be bothered to take a hint. Not like they can't afford it anymore. I mean, they both have jobs that pay around $50K a year, but I can see why they are upset with me. I took the same business route as my father and he was the one who trained me, and well, I make a decent amount more than they do. My apologies for assuming their situation was that bad. My point stands though. You're entitled to feel angry and bitter that your dad didn't include you in the will, aside from giving you that keepsake. Ironically, you're in the awful position of being called a liar, if you did, after everything, decide to contest that will. So really, it's down to you how you wish to play it, knowing that your relationships may suffer for it. But making them pay for food after repeatedly badgering you on something you'd rather they stop talking to you about? Yeah, that's completely on them, and you are well within your rights to do that. Maybe after a little while, if the lesson sinks in, you can retract that, but until then, they'll have to learn somehow. It's a difficult situation, but they can't have their cake and eat it, if you'll forgive the phrasing. They were both given substantially more money in the will than if you had been left in, supposedly because it would help them become more financially equal with you? In that case, why should they be given more privileges at your expense? Not the a-hole. Now for the second story. Am I the a-hole for finalizing my deceased mother's divorce to my dad? Background: so I, 24 male, just had my mother pass away in July from a bicycle accident, and found out I was the sole heir to her estate. She was a stay-at-home mom for my whole life to my brother, now a 22 male, and 3 years ago she found my dad cheating on her and started to process for getting a divorce. This was a lengthy process and ended up with me being on my mom's side and my brother on my dad's. My dad is quite a large cattle ranch in Montana that he and my mom bought from his father while they were married, and this ranch is the main point of contention for the divorce. My mom had mostly finalized the divorce, and to avoid forcing my dad to have to sell his ranch, she only went after 25% instead of the 50% deemed fair and equitable per state law. This was against the advice of the court, but she went with it anyways. She won the initial court case, and then my dad appealed it to the Montana Supreme Court, and she won there too. My dad never paid the amount ordered to her, so right before her passing she was working on filing for contempt to get the amount she was owed. It should be noted that she went after the 25% to ensure the ranch wouldn't have to be sold, so my little brother could inherit it from my father. Since my dad testified that he wasn't going to give me anything to inherit, partly due to the fact that I don't want the ranch, nor have any desire to be a rancher, but also because I took my mother's side, she left everything she had to me. Fast forward to the present, and now I am the one that is having to take the burden of taking my dad back to court for the amount he hasn't paid. This is after I had to handle all the funeral preparations as well as my mother's medical bills. This has been a super emotional time for me, and I am realizing that my dad is my only parent left, and I don't want to lose my chance at a relationship with him. He claims that even paying the 25% will cause him to have to sell the ranch, which while I believe is false, he owns it free and clear of debt, and I don't think it would be terribly difficult for him to come up with the money without selling the ranch. I'm worried that following through with this case will make me the a-hole to him and ruin my chances of a relationship with him and consequently my little brother as well. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top advice. Not the a-hole. Your mother's estate is entitled to what your father owes. This, as personal representative, you have a duty to get all the estate's rightful assets. Not the a-hole. He's the a-hole for not paying when he had the chance. This. As the executor, you are required to collect this debt. Even though you're the sole heir, you can't pick and choose in these matters. You're in quite the pickle if you're the executor/personal representative for the estate. If you are, you're acting as a fiduciary, and it does not matter what your personal interests are. You are to act in the best interests of the estate and its inheritors, which may also be yourself, but that's a separate hat. I'm currently the personal representative for 3 different estates, one of which is a deceased inheritor for one of the other estates, and things are just kind of f up beyond repair, given that I'm not the only inheritor for any of them. One person passed, second person passed without closing out the first person's estate, 3 of us were inheritors to the second estate, and one of the 3 died, leaving 2 of us inheriting a third each from the second estate and half each from the third estate. I hope to have all of this wrapped up completely by the end of the year. Not the a-hole. Added to add, I am not a lawyer/attorney. I'm just functioning as the personal representative for those estates in informal probate. It's been educational. I was in the same boat as you, with an even funkier twist. I was handling the estate of my stepfather, who actually murdered my mother, but since he died before his trial finished he was never actually convicted, thank you state laws, and as such half of my mother's stuff went to him. And I had to be the one to ship it all off to his estranged sister, to handle for his deaf mother, who was his beneficiary. Probate estates suck. Not the a-hole. Follow through in your mom's wishes. Not for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my fiancé's parents on a vacation with us? I, 27 male, recently sold my apartment and put the money along with the money I've been saving up to buy a house on my own, before my fiancé and I get married. I have an architecture degree, but unfortunately, I haven't been able to find job within the area I live in. Things have been rough. I finally was given the opportunity to work for a private company that is literally making my life more difficult. It's not really what I wanted, but a decent way to make money. My fiancé is currently living with her parents, and we agreed to move together after I purchase a house. Thing is, I just can't keep up with my fiancé's constant demands. She also tries to get her parents involved in everything we do, since they live together, so she thinks she can include them. When I sold my car, she asked if I was going to invite her and her parents to eat out at a nice restaurant. She even asked if I could help her dad financially when he was having issues with money. She refuses to discuss wedding planning without going back to her mom for the smallest details. It's annoying, but I don't want to look like I was being mean or anything, so I just let her. She insisted that we go on a weekend vacation. When I sold the apartment, I agreed and told her I'd book for us two at the resort and spend the weekend there. She was so excited. Last night she called me to ask if I can include her parents since they spent the whole year without going anywhere. I was honestly taken aback, because I've already pulled out enough money from my account for this vacation and I just can't afford to pay for her parents' stay. Besides, this vacation was supposed to be for both of us. She said she felt sorry for her parents and that she already told them about it. I got so mad at her and asked why she did that, like she already decided, but was just calling to let me know that I'll be paying for her parents' stay. I told her she either apologize to them or the vacation will be cancelled. She got upset, tried to get me to change my mind, and then told me that I'm the one who needs to apologize to her parents. She yelled at me and we haven't talked since that argument. She's demanding that I go to her parents' house to talk to them, probably as an attempt to get them to get me to say yes, but I told her I had no business going to her parents since she was the one who decided to invite them without telling me. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I think you should be reconsidering this whole relationship. Besides her constantly involving her parents, which probably won't stop, she seems to treat you like an ATM. Every time you sell something, she's ready to spend that money for you. If you two are getting married, why do you have to buy the house first? Why isn't she contributing to the down payment on the house she will be living in? Why is she asking you to help her parents financially, when you had a hard time finding a job in your field for a while? Is she concerned at all that the job you were able to find is making your life more difficult? Have you two talked about moving somewhere with better opportunities for you? It doesn't sound like she cares about you, it sounds like she's using you to finance her and her parents' lives. If you two are getting married, why do you have to buy the house first? Probably because deep down he knows it's a bad idea to marry this girl and wants to make sure he's the only one with equity in it. She asked if I was going to invite her and her parents to eat out at a nice restaurant. Refuses to discuss wedding planning without going back to her mom for the smallest details. She already told them about it. Told me that I'm the one who needs to apologize to her parents. She's demanding that I go to her parents' house to talk to them. I think you need to see your own words compiled for you. Is this the life you want? Is this the dynamic you really want to sign up for? No, of course you're not the a-hole here, but holy hell, you will be if you see all these red flags and still decide to marry into this family. Thing is that I see how unreasonable she was being, but if I say anything, then I'm trying to separate her from her family, when it's really not like this at all. I wonder if this will stop once she's living with me, since now she seems to be so attached to her parents and wouldn't do anything without them. Dude. You are in such denial. Marry this woman and these in-law problems will only magnify. She expects you to pay her way and her parents' way, plus she can't make decisions without them. She is a child and if you marry her, well, you will be her daddy alright, but not in the way you hope. Do not marry her. And for God's sake do not get her pregnant. Or you will be married/bound to her and her mommy and daddy for the rest of your miserable life. And don't go buying a house yet. Never mind the whole thing with your fiancé. You don't really like your job. You may be able to get a better one. But it may require you to move or have a horrible commute. Don't tie yourself to an expensive piece of real estate until you are a little more happily situated. And that's it for this video, folks. If you have thoughts you want to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content and turn on your notification to get updated on the latest video. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.